Okay, I think we can get started now. Thanks all for joining our second office hour session. We have the list here of the questions that were submitted ahead of time. So I think we can run through those and then feel free to ask any additional questions. Robert, do you want me to read these questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So first bunch of questions here were about template functions. Mostly came in from Aram. The first one asked for an illustration of the change to the tool for and what it means for each LSE's compliance. The change that the profile optimization worksheet and SOC validation both apply proportional energy storage, maximum continuous and daily, weighted by the input NQC over under contract divided by the showing months NQC megawatts in the resource NQC workshop sheet rather than the entire resource energy storage capacity.
So the change was prompted by a question that came up in the last office hours, or maybe before the office hours. And some users were concerned, I don't remember who it was, incidentally, but the storage resources in the optimization were taking a long time to reach 100% state of charge because the storage, the available storage energy was much larger in proportion to the fraction of the resources capacity that was shown on the LSE showing tab. So we decided to make the assumption that the available energy to a storage resource under contract would be proportional to the contracted power capacity and to scale the energy storage accordingly. So that's what this equation lays out. Basically just scaling the energy capacity by the power capacity from the LSE showing tab, as stated there. In terms of an example, so if a 4-hour storage resource shows 100 megawatts, it would have 400 megawatt hours of storage energy or energy storage capability. If only 10 megawatts of that are shown in the LSE showing tab, prior, it would have been trying to charge the entire 400 megawatts and using that as the state of charge calculation. Now, so it would both take a very long time to discharge fully or to charge fully. With this change, it's now assuming that there are only 40 megawatt hours of energy storage capability on that resource under contract. So I hope that clarifies that question.
If there are any additional questions, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat. We do have one. Angelica.
Does that mean that we have the capability of now reducing the amount of energy storage that we want to show from a particular resource? And the calculation now is taking that into consideration. It's not going to go look for the actual resource total capability. It's just going to look for what we're showing in that particular month. Is that correct?
So it's still using the energy storage capability megawatt hours from the resource database, and then
Okay.
scaling that value by the power capacity input.
That we're gonna show for that particular month.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Just wanted to wrap the concept around my head. So thank you.
Great.
Okay. So the next question, it's about something we discussed in the last office hours, where at the time, if an LSE had only contracted with one resource type of a hybrid, there would be an error if they only showed one. But we've since corrected that. Correct, Robert?
I think for this one, I was saying in the last office hours that it would cause an error, but wasn't confident in that, and we determined that it won't cause an error. The validation sheet, so like the hidden sheet that you can access from the validation overview tab, has a column that indicates if a hybrid resource is shown with its paired resource. Then as now, it'll indicate that it was not shown. I think it'll just say false for that column if the other resource is not shown. But that doesn't make its way to the validation overview in any form, so it won't cause any tests to fail.
Mary Neal from ARM, just to confirm that. So LSEs don't have to enter a 0 value to avoid an error. Is
Correct.
that okay? Great, thank you.
And just a reminder, if you could put your hand down after you ask your question so we can tell if you have another question, that'd be helpful. Okay. Next question was whether there was a default profile for the CAM peakers. There was not, but we are adding one into the version we're going to send out, which is our ending 14 to 22.
I think for this one there was, and then there wasn't, and I'm not sure if maybe the first version of the template we sent out had the default storage profile, and then when I updated the resource database, I think I overwrote that profile on accident, but we added it back in.
The next question is, why are the CAM gas peaker resources not showing as MCC4? More guidance on how these resources can be shown is needed. So, the MCC buckets are expected to go away except for the DR cap after next year. What the column for MCC4 is for the rule we have for the test year, where an LSE in their compliance showing under the old system, if they want to show standalone storage in MCC bucket 4, they need to show energy sufficiency through this template. So this column is only to indicate which standalone storage you want to count as bucket 4. It's not anything that's actually in bucket 4 or anything that stores that you don't want to put in bucket 4 should have no's there.
And aside from storage resources, the template just ignores that column. So it's not a problem if If peakers or CAM peakers are listed as MCC4, the template isn't going to do anything with that information.
Right,
So
if
it
you
really
do-
just takes care to fill out the storage resources for that column correctly.
But if you do have a co-located or hybrid storage, since you're already able to put that in bucket 4, you don't need to indicate it here. Otherwise, you'll need additional energy to pass that test or capacity. All right. Next question is, please provide an example of how to determine which batteries are considered standalone and require a demonstration of excess capacity to charge the storage for MCC4 bucket compliance purposes. Yeah, so I'll just answer this first and then I'll ask you the question. So in the master resource database, there's a column indicating the either the sub IDs for hybrids or for co-located resources. It indicates which resources are co-located. So from that, you should know all the resources that are hybrid or co-located. If they don't have anything in those columns and it's stored, you can assume it's standalone. We do our best to keep that up to date. Sometimes it's hard as things come online at different times. Elon?
A previous question. If a battery is co-located or hybrid, it can count as bucket 4 without needing to demonstrate that there's excess generation in order to charge it.
Yep, that's correct. Because before we didn't have a way to separate out hybrids. The different parts of the hybrids, because solar and wind are already in bucket 4. So to make it the treatment equivalent, we said it was this. We also did have that rule for co-located storage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Clearly define the treatment of the different battery resource types, standalone, hybrid, and co-located. For example, why does a hybrid resource have a maximum daily run hours of 24, but co-located and standalone only have 4? Does this mean we do not need to run the optimization for hybrid resources? How should we expect each resource to look? And does a co-located battery with 100% state of charge from the optimization count for all 24 hours?
In terms of how the optimization within the template works, the only distinction is whether a storage resource allows or does not allow grid charging. And if grid charging is not allowed, then it looks to either a co-located or a hybrid resource and looks up the capacity shown in either a default profile or a custom profile for those resources. For co-located resources, it takes the sum of as many co-located resources are as exist. And then it shows that as available capacity for charging during any hour where the storage resource is not otherwise being used. The optimization routine doesn't really consider the, the daily run hours from the resource database. That's handled in the validation test. And I'm not familiar with how those values are determined going into the database.
Yeah, I mean, if the storage has daily run hours of 24, that's an error for hybrid. If it does have that for hybrids, I'll have to check that. Should be the same as co-located. Noah?
Hey, hey, Simone. Sorry, I wasn't at the last meeting for this. Can you tell me whether or not you guys will be sending out new requirements and allocations on a monthly basis? Because the current one only has like September filled in.
Noah, you can change the month on the first page of the template.
No, I understand that. What I'm asking is on the requirements and allocations tab itself. Just simply wondering if there's only September data filled in, and this may just be like it's because of the template. But when you guys send out the new and official ones for the month ahead, will you fill that out with more months or every month?
It
So
was sent out to the LSEs with all of the months.
yeah, so if you change the month, it should load the appropriate month in the requirements and allocations. But yeah, we're gonna send it out. It's gonna be the same. It's gonna include all of the monthly requirements.
Okay, and then you guys seem to have made a change on that column D, and maybe that's what Robert was talking about on the LSE showing tab. It's now reads the NQC under contract column label, but I'm noticing some of the values for the solar resources and wind resources, or I guess mainly solar here, that they're not NQC under contract. So I'm wondering whether or not, is it a mislabel or is it just a carryover from the previous template? This is looking at version 21.
It's likely a carryover because we did take your feedback and change the showing, so you show the NQC for solar and wind rather than the total megawatts under contract.
Okay. Then I'm follow-up question on, then does the battery for a hybrid resource, if you look at the contract 1, I guess was that Lancaster Solar 6, Solar 2, is there actual, if there's no actual value for the NQC value, is the battery aspect of it correct? It's confusing,
Yeah,
right?
I tried to separate. I separated the NQC to the solar and storage portions in the new version of the MRD.
But even though the NQC value for this particular resource is, are they additive? If you were to go to the resource NQC tab,
Yeah.
like is it I'm looking at Lancaster 6 Solar 2. For the battery it's 5.25, but for September, for the solar, the sun side of it, it's 0.1.
Right. That the 0.1 is because that is this for that month. We said that because Kaiso couldn't take a 0 if the peak hour was after sunset, we would make it 0.1. So 0.1 is the minimum for all the solar. So
Right. Okay. But then in the showing, you have, should that be 0.1 on the showing, the LSE showing tab on column D? For the sun side, should that be 2D or should that
for
be
the
0.1?
solar side, if you had the whole resource, you should show 0.1.
Okay.
And, yeah.
But if you didn't have the whole resource and like if you only had 30% of it, then you would do 0.03. Is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
Ella?
Yeah, I just want to ask a clarifying question on the NQC that we're supposed to enter there, as was just discussed, right? Is it the monthly NQC from the master resource database or from the final NQC list? Because there seemed to be a difference between the two.
Yeah, it's from the master resource database, because the solar and wind counting are different. So I tried, originally in the draft versions of the MRD, I had just had in the current NQC, but this one now it has the slice of day NQC values, which are the peak hour for solar and wind. So those were what we should use on this slice of day.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? For VERS, what is meant by total megawatt under contract under LSE worksheet item 5 of the RA showing template user guide? Historically, entities have transacted for the NQC value, which may be different from the nameplate times the temp factor. I think this is from an older version. As we just mentioned, we've taken the feedback in the previous sessions. So now everything will have the NQC value, and then as requested, it will have that those will be directly translatable to the supply plan values. How can an LSE manage the interconnection limits? For example, if an LSE owns the RA from a co-located battery and solar facility, but it's violating the grouped resource check, what can be done to resolve this? Why doesn't the optimization account for this limitation? Now, one thing to note on this is that we put sort of placeholder interconnection limits, as we didn't actually have that information that was public for everything. So we put the deliverable amount, and that may well be from the NQC list. That is likely below the actual interconnection limit. So please send your updates to us. That should help manage it. Robert could discuss why it would be difficult to include in the optimization.
Yeah, we didn't include it just because it hadn't been considered as a problem. One workaround is to try an optimization, and then if it fails the validation check, go back and increase showing on the LSE showing tab or in a custom profile, or some combination, or increase the capacity of storage available to the optimization. In any case, adding the interconnection limits into the optimization itself won't well, I guess it could change things. Yeah, if it continues to be a problem, let us know and we can consider making a change. But it's just additional work and unclear how frequently it'll come up.
Hey, this is Mary Neal from ARM again on this question on interconnection limits. I just want to get a little clarity myself here. So if you have co-located battery and solar, and you're reporting more RA than the interconnection limit in the template, that's what's going to flag the group resource check as a problem. Is that, I'm just making sure I have that right. Is that right?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, that's correct.
So I guess if in a situation, should an LSE be reporting like the total or total more than the interconnection limit when they list the RA from the co-located battery and solar, or somehow allocate it to each facility to bring it in under the interconnection limit, or
Ideally reduce the capacities from the co-located resources that are causing a validation problem. So if there's a co-located solar and the addition of the solar and the storage are exceeding the interconnection limit, then reduce the solar showing.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think
Go
generally,
ahead.
if you just are showing your storage later in the day once the sun is going down, it shouldn't be a problem. It's just if you were dispatching your battery at noon, that's when you might run into it.
But would that, what Simone, what you just said there, would that be accounted for in the group resource check?
I think
So
it should be that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Robert. It should be that it should not let you dispatch, your battery at noon. If your solar is, if say the interconnection is basically at the maximum solar and your solar is up there, you won't be able to dispatch your maximum solar and also your battery.
And that'll show up in the validation, but the optimization won't check for the interconnection limits.
okay.
Does that make sense?
I think I'm getting it, but I'm just not sure. It still seems like it's on the LSEs to make sure that what they report is less than the interconnection limit, right, from their resources. It did, like the optimization and the template doesn't say. Okay,
The template will
here's the
say
total RA
that
from. Go ahead.
the template will say that it doesn't pass the interconnection, the grouped resource check. So it checks it for you, but it doesn't incorporate that into the optimization. So if you run an optimization and then it doesn't pass the grouped resource check, you'll need to change something and rerun the optimization or manually change the shown hours of that storage resource.
Just the shown hours or the shown amount?
Shown amounts for the hours in question when the grouped capacity exceeds the interconnection limit.
Okay. I think I'll have to go back and look at the template a little bit more to play around with it, but I think I've got a little better understanding of what's going on. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, where will you change where in the template where you manually change the hours available for a resource in the custom profiles?
That's an option. If you're running an optimization, it automatically looks at the default and custom profiles already defined based on the LSE showing, and fills in the any hours where there's a deficit between the requirements and the shown capacities. So you can change those hours by adding capacity to or during an hour at which there's a deficit. You can also run an optimization and change the percentage values that the optimization solves for, and you can shift those around if you really want to get into it. And like shift from one resource to another resource if the optimization for one resource ends up being above the interconnect capacity, but you have overhead in another resource.
The next question is fairly similar. It's about, let's go to Kelly first.
Question. On the portfolio optimization tab, I'm unable to get the refresh tables button or the reset shown hours buttons to appear in any of the templates, any of the versions of the templates. Do I need to enable something in order to have those buttons appear?
That's an interesting problem. Are you opening the file in the Excel application rather than in a browser?
Yes.
Interesting. Reach out after the meeting and we might have to
Okay.
take a look at what's happening.
Okay, thank you.
That sounds complicated.
All right, the next question was similarly about the interconnection limits for co-located resource, but what happens if the LSE only owns all of the solar, but only a portion of the battery? Could this result in double counting when a second LSE is listing the other portion of the battery? That's something, it wouldn't be double counting, but it's possible that, if the other LSE showed the battery at, say, at noon, then it could exceed the interconnection limits. But that's something that we can't control for. We can't have the LSEs coordinating how they do their RA showings. So we just ask you to be consistent within your own show, but you don't have to worry about what somebody else might do with the portion they have under contract. And then the next question is, if an unspecified import fails the custom profile check, what does that mean? So just means that in some hour you're exceeding the value you had on the previous page with the total NQC under contract. You have any other questions about this or the template functions in general? Noah?
Hey, Simone. Is there a way to tell how much excess the portfolio has?
Do you mean in terms of storage charging?
I mean, in terms of the entire portfolio, like if I look at the hourly availability chart or the LSE showing complete tab, because the optimization, you know, I might have a portfolio that is sufficient, but it may also be surplus, but it's unclear how to determine that surplus.
If you're asking specifically about the excess that's used in the storage excess capacity test, you can open the query, the Power Query interface, and look at the query for either the MCC4 or the regular storage excess capacity test. And
Sure.
there's a step in there that calculates the excess value.
Sorry, that's under the validation overview?
It's in the Power Query. If you're on the validation overview, I'm going to follow along on my screen, on my end.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe the question is there a easy way to determine either shortness or surplus in any of these tabs easily on either an hourly basis? Or I know it's difficult to identify, mainly because the optimization has only used so much of the battery and not to its sort of full potential. But it's difficult to tell how much of excess is actually left.
Maybe what you're looking for is in the hourly system capacity tab, which
Where is that?
The total line has I think it's requirements minus, or no, sorry, shown capacities minus requirements.
Okay, it is hidden. Okay, got it.
Anything else?
No, I'll take a look. Thanks.
Or anyone else? All right, this next batch was about errors or issues people are having. The first one is that the most recent version of the template does not show any capacity batteries that are optimized unless it's manually added. I think, was this the error that has been corrected?
I believe we corrected this. I don't know if we've sent out the revised template with the fix.
Yeah, many of these issues are things that we have addressed, and we're going to be sending out new allocation spreadsheets shortly. In our last session, there was a request to combine the 3 optimization buttons. Now, PG&E is requesting to separate them again, since when there was an error, it was difficult to determine where the error was.
I think for debugging purposes, it might be easier just to open the Visual Basic editor and set breakpoints to identify where it's arising. I think there are ways to do this without reverting to 3 buttons. Incidentally, the reason I had it as 3 buttons was for my own debugging originally.
Then there are a few things here that have been corrected. One was that there were not default profiles for battery storage resources. They were showing up for all 24 hours. One is the optimization is not returning showing megawatt values. And then why does the flex validation tool, yeah, it wasn't, it was accounting for the categories as 3 separate requirements rather than being sort of a nested requirement with minimums and maximums. So this should all be corrected in the new version. Next is some Power Query related errors have been encountered when running the tool that appear to be related to the version of Excel. Have other parties encountered the same, and is there any guidance on what version of Excel is needed to run the tool successfully?
I've removed the table.stop folding expression from the Power Query from all the queries. So it should run smoothly. I found out recently that that particular command was added to Excel last year or something. So any version of Excel older than 2022 will throw this problem. But everything else is should be fully operational back through 2010 Excel, I think.
And there's a follow-up on the Power Query errors about how updating the version of Excel did not resolve the error. Are there any suggestions for troubleshooting?
Same resolution. It was that expression is no longer in the queries.
In the validation overview tab, storage excess capacity and MCC bucket 4 storage excess capacity have none errors. Hidden sheets contain the same error. Any suggestions on the cause and how to resolve?
Yeah, I think just try refreshing. If there's still a problem, let us know if there's a problem with the next version of the template.
Hey, Mary Neal again. So when you say refreshing, is that refreshing the queries?
Yeah, in the validation overview, there should be a refresh button.
Okay, I just double checking. Can try that and try again with the next version. Thanks.
Cool, thanks.
And, if people have this sort of problem, can they send the examples to you, Robert?
That would be great.
Best optimization does not occur despite refreshing the workbook, restarting the computer. Hourly position shows plenty of excess energy, but no charging or discharging occurs. There is no optimization even and after following all the steps in the user guide. What's going on? You're muted if you're talking, Robert.
Sorry about that. I can't say exactly what the problem is in this instance, but in response to another issue, we added a pre-check that checks whether the storage available to the optimization routine has sufficient capacity overall in megawatts to meet the largest deficit throughout all 24 hours on the same sheet. If that test doesn't pass, then there's no possibility that the optimization can find a solution. It also checks whether there is enough megawatt hours energy capacity from the maximum daily, let me get the name right. Maximum daily energy capacity in megawatt hours to match the sum of all the hourly deficits. And if that doesn't pass, again, the storage shown to the optimizer can't find a solution, or there isn't a solution that exists. So it checks those two things, and then it just won't run solver if either of those checks fails. I also added some, it'll show some text to explain what happened in the status box in the top left corner. So hopefully that helps with this issue. If it persists, reach out again and let us know, and we can take a closer look.
And then one other issue people were encountering was that the CAM storage allocation did not charge, although the maximum daily storage cycles was 0. Should it be 1?
Yeah, this is several of these comments have addressed from different angles a problem with the version of the requirements and allocations tab that we sent out. It just had a typo in it. It was causing some lookups to fail. So we fixed that typo, and in the next version, this issue should be resolved.
Okay. Are there any other questions about the template functions or errors you're encountering before we go on to these other questions? Rich?
Start. I joined a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. We missed the first couple words. So.
Sorry, just headphone troubles. But sorry if you said this right at the beginning, but do we have an idea of when the fixed templates will be sent out to LSEs?
We're trying to send those out either today or tomorrow. I think we're just finishing up some last minute edits to the master resource database, but other than that, we are ready to go. So cool. It should be sent out very soon.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Noah again. In when might you have the slice of day PRM values?
So, oh, you want to take that one?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So in the templates that we distributed on 10.6, the hourly system requirements are inclusive of a 13% PRM already. Like it's hard coded in there. So this is the result that we got from the slice of day calibration tool. And we have not released that yet, but we have a workshop on that next Wednesday. I believe it's October 25th. So we're going to be, showing the inputs that went into that there, but it's already included in the requirements in the templates.
Okay, so it is, maybe this is previewing the next week's workshop, but is the 13% sort of respective to the 17% now, or is it respective of something different, or relative to, I guess, to something different?
You go ahead, Simone.
It's related to the fleet that came out of the modeling results. So it's not, I mean, there wasn't really anything we could go use for the 17%.
Right. Okay, so the sorry, the 13% is a conversion from the LOE study that was done early February.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
And I like,
Wait, sorry, follow up. Then sort of thinking ahead beyond test year for a quick second here. If 13% is correct, or is that, what will you be sending to ISO? Is it 13% as well, or would you convert it back to something different?
that's an interesting question. My gut is that it would have to stay with that because the solar values are going to be the slice of day values, so that they will probably be too low to meet the value that was based on the ELCC.
Oh, maybe then, maybe ask the question differently. Whatever was the result of the February LLE analysis, call it 18%, 20%, whatever that was based on those ELCC values back then, and not the new exceedance values that you've determined for the 13%. And so potentially the 13% is maybe relative to something slightly in the middle, even.
Yeah, I'm not
more
sure
complicated.
where it would end up. But in the next study, I think we would use this. When we do the study, right, we take the fleet and we value it at the NQC values, and then use that compared to the load forecast to calculate the PRM. So it would be something lower probably, since generally the solar will be lower.
Understood. Got it. Thanks.
Angelica, are you there now?
Yeah, thank you. So I don't know, you maybe already covered this before, but how could we add new resources to the database? We have a lot of instances where a resource achieves, NQC in the curing period or during the curing period. So it definitely won't be in the NQC list before the filing. So how do we address those kinds of issues? Do we have to go through you to add that into the template? Are we going to have flexibility to add that? Is somebody going to help us review it before, including all that information into the MRD? Sorry, so many questions at once.
Yeah, I think you should you should be able to add it into your version, so we
Okay.
wouldn't have to send you a new version.
Okay.
But we'll have to think about whether there needs to be coordination for those resources to make sure, that we add them on our end in time.
Right. Yeah, and I can foresee that happening a lot, at least, yeah, in the upcoming years with all these new resources that are being built right now.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of resources coming online next summer, especially. So
Yeah.
we'll need to set up some sort of system.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to know if it's been discussed or if it's something that we're gonna look at it down the line.
Yeah, it's something definitely to sort out during this test year. Okay. And let's see. I had a couple questions similar to our recent the discussion with Noah here about the slice of day PRM. We will be sending out documentation about the conversion tool. It will be discussed at the workshop on the 25th. So you'll be, I hope you should be able to get any questions you have addressed then. So the 17% PRM that was adopted was for, I think as we just discussed, that's for the traditional RA counting. So, we also adopted this conversion tool, calibration tool that we would use to translate the LLE study results to the new counting framework under slice of day. So that tool, using that tool resulted in the 13%, which is what was included in the template and will be discussed next week. In terms of how this results or coordinates with the effective PRM, would we reduce the effective PRM? I don't think it would need to be reduced because generally this reduction is related to the lower counting values for solar at the peak hour, and all of the effective PRM resources are required to be available during the peak hours. So generally they're resources with flat profiles, so the valuation should change under slice of day. But this is something that hasn't been addressed, so we may need to address it in the proceeding next year for 2025, since that will be the full implementation. Steve?
Edison, I just wanted to follow up on that and how that may impact what goes on at the CAISO. I'm sure you know the CAISO is having they have an RA working group going on right now. And one of the things they're considering is, or that we've asked them to consider at least, is how potential changes to the numbers they're going to get from you will impact the reliability that they're looking at, or may impact that liability. Are you discussing with the CAISO the number that you give to them and what that means, and how maybe whether this change in the PRM will affect that?
Yeah, I mean, we have regular discussions with the CAISO, and as we go through the test year, I'm sure we'll be identify a lot of issues in terms of coordination. So no, I wouldn't say we've gotten, in general at this point, they're just saying that they're sticking with what they're doing, but they are having some, these workshops, working with the RA working group, for RA enhancements. So hopefully we'll be able to address a lot of these issues there.
Great. So this is an issue we should continue to bring up in that forum.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, thanks.
Let's see. Are either of the hands that are up additional questions, or did you just not lower your hand? Rich, do you have another question?
No, I'm sorry, I just forgot to take
Okay.
my hand up.
Donald?
Hello, this is Donald Brooks. I wanted to comment on the previous discussion. I wanted to point out yes, we'll be discussing, this is in relation to the 13% slice of day PRM, and I wanted to note that in the 1025 workshop, we may be presenting a different value than that. I think we managed to identify something a mistake we were making in the template, and I think there'll be a different value that we talk about in the 1025 workshop. I guess subsequent to that, additional, I guess if we need to reissue these templates with a different PRM value, we might need to do that. But I'm glad that I caught this conversation here at the office hours, just so I have a chance to note that.
Noah?
Hey, Donald. Can you clarify where was the mistake made? Was it on the 1025 study way back, or is it on the current conversion study?
I think the 13% came out of a template that we were, conversion from the study to this slice a day tool. We had a mistake in the way that we were converting translating the loss of load study into the slice a day tool.
Okay, so it should.
So the study is still the same study.
Okay, so it should not be 13, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that is in fact what I'm saying. Apologies for the confusion there.
Do you want to spoil it for next week? Any idea?
No.
No, you don't want to.
I know exactly what it's going to be, but I'm not going to spoil it. We're putting out a slide deck that has the corrections in it and has the proper translation in it, and it will be informative. We'll just put out a slide deck that has the correct values in it next, in prep for the workshop on Wednesday.
Last chance. You sure you don't want to spoil it?
I don't.
All right.
Because then, yeah, I will not spoil it.
I'm gonna hold my breath now.
Continue to breathe, Noah.
Ah.
All right, let's go to Jay then. So
this is Jay at TA. I just submitted a question there in the chat about. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, a question about for forward years CAM allocations that are released by the CPE. Specifically like 25, 26 is already out. Will those be incorporated into the requirements and allocations tab on the template?
I can take that, Jay. So at the moment, there's no plans to add it specifically to the requirements and allocations tab, but we are going to be sending those out separately And I'll just note that so the tech types are all flat profile. So I'm going to be sending you just like a monthly number for each month, and that's because the hourly value is going to be the same for each hour. So yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, and we did just get a question about reissuing the template with the higher or the corrected PRM. I think we're going to have to talk to Donald and find out what's going on. Seems to be some late breaking news, at least as far as I'm concerned. Ben?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, my question was related to that. So if Donald says that there may be a reissued template next week on the 25th, what if an LSE were using the MCC bucket 4 piece and needs to be due on October 31st? Which would be the timeline for that then?
I believe, let's see, Kelsey, what did you end up saying in the message that you sent out?
Yeah, so because of the delay in sending out the updated templates, we haven't pushed back the official deadline for LSEs using MCC, or sorry, the slice of day charging sufficiency for MCC bucket 4. But if an LSE has any concerns about meeting that deadline, you're welcome to reach out to Energy Division staff directly to discuss.
Oh, Donald just gave me a hint. It should be good news, so don't worry too much about the new TRM. Okay.
I'm again saying apologies. I didn't realize that it, that 13% number had gone out and become so importantly implemented and operationalized yet. It's always, yeah. Well, sorry about that.
All right, let's see. Let's just run through these last couple of questions. One is about how can an LSE determine their detailed TAM and IRP and CP allocations and make sure they're being applied correctly. What are the appropriate values for MCC bucket 4 and use default profile for these credits? You want to take this, Kelsey?
Sure. So we're going to be sending out summary tables to each LSE in the future that just gives a better picture of the allocations by category. But in the meantime, if you want to check to make sure everything's allocated correctly, I guess I should start off by saying, firstly, the local and flex requirements are exactly the same as what was allocated in the binding compliance framework. So at the system level, it gets a little more complicated because we had to separate all the CAM and MCAM storage, as well as any allocations for use limited peakers. And that only affects the Southern California Edison TAC area, but those are separated, whereas previously in the regular compliance framework, they were all grouped together. So that's one thing to consider. And then all other flat profile CAM resources, which includes CPE resources, those are all included in your other CAM allocation category. So you can see that total amount in your your requirements and allocations tab. And that amount is going to get netted off of your system requirement in the hourly availability chart. And then another thing that's done a little differently here is that DR credits and debits are reflected separately, whereas before they were combined. So that would include your DRAM and your behind the meter DR allocated through CAM, as well as IOU DR programs. So those are also netted off of the system requirement on that chart. But you should be able to sum up all of those figures, and they should roughly match what was allocated to you in the compliance framework. So that's one way to check, and there will likely be a small difference, and that's due to the fact that DR is allocated hourly in this framework as opposed to monthly, so it's a little different. But again, all of this will be laid out in summary tables in the future. So, yeah.
Right. Mary?
Hey, Mary Neal again. Related to the CAM allocations, there was a question from one of our members about CAM peaker allocation A. That didn't seem to correspond to an actual CAM allocation. I'm just wondering if there were any changes to that in the next version of the template, or not. I'm not that familiar with this allocation, so I can't speak to it. Maybe the other members on the line could help clarify that.
Yeah, Mary, that was an error that so it doesn't actually flow through to your requirements, but it was basically like a dummy variable that we forgot to take out. So
okay.
We're removing that. Yeah, we're removing that in the next template.
Great. Okay, thanks.
All right, and then the last question is whether this template is going to be the long-term solution for slice of day filing even in 2025. And the answer is that we hope so. We anticipate, that there will be refinements as things come up throughout the test year, but we think this is a good solid start, and it's what we're planning to use for the most part. So there are a few questions in the chat from a while back that I didn't see because so if you still have those questions, just please raise your hand so we can go back to them. Or if there are any other questions or comments, feel free to raise your hand. Right, if there's nothing else, so we can end early. Feel free to reach out with any other questions. Thanks, everyone.